What's going on, guys? I have a really good topic for today. It's mostly for coaches. However, I think athletes who are aspiring to be coaches one day would gain a ton of value from this. So, first off, have you ever trained underneath a coach who has not actually done the thing that you're learning at a high level, right? If you have, you've probably second guessed some of the stuff that they said. Whereas you compare that to training with somebody who has done that thing at a high level. Now, this has nothing to do with whether they're good or not at coaching, but think about the difference, okay? And this happens all the time in the baseball world. Now, an athlete will start working with, ex-big leaguer who maybe had a big name or at least had somewhat of a career in the big leagues. And immediately the buy-in is significantly higher just because they knew that that guy actually did the thing, right? And, more power to you. Like if you played and other people are believing in you just because you played, like that's great. That's a nice, easy one-up comparative to other people who never actually made it there, right? And then there's these other coaches who never actually played at a high level, and they may be amazing coaches, extremely intelligent, really know how to work with whatever it is that you're thinking about right now, whether that's hitting development, throwing development, strength conditioning, doesn't matter. And it's harder to immediately get that buy-in just because that guy didn't actually do the thing at the level that you're trying to do it at, okay? Another perspective, you're a bodybuilder, all right? If you want to learn about bodybuilding or you're trying to get coached and you're trying to compete and actually win, then you're probably going to go to somebody who, one, was a famous bodybuilder at some point. Like you're going to seek out those people and or did bodybuilding but works with famous bodybuilders, right? Because the buy-in is just extremely high. Like you don't have to second guess whether or not you believe that person's going to be able to do the thing. They have a track record and they actually did the thing. So it's easier, okay? Now, here's why I think this topic is so important, because some of the best coaches that I ever had never actually did the thing at a high level, never. And they were the coaches that helped me the most in my career. I think a lot about some of the big leaguers who I've gotten coaching from, some of the ex-big leaguers who stopped playing and then started coaching. A lot of their advice was helpful, but I didn't learn as much. I just didn't. Now, that's my personal experience. I don't know about you, but that's mine. And so, but I do remember having those sessions and immediately just hanging on hand and foot, anything that they said. I took it to heart and I tried to do it right away because I just believed in them, right? With just like blank face, had no idea even about the details of their career. I just knew that they did it, and so I believed in whatever it is that they were saying. Okay, but then some of the guys who actually showed me a lot of the stuff that I know now and that I'm implementing even now with the athletes that we've worked with, and I've been doing this for almost a decade now, I've gained so much more information from them than I did the pro guys. Now, this isn't a knock against pro guys. I played low-level indie ball, so I was technically a pro. I wasn't affiliated. But a lot of the first questions that parents and athletes ask is like, where'd you play? They just want to know, like, your validity is based on your resume of playing rather than your resume of coaching. And this is important because I would rather have an athlete now, and this is my advice to those watching this podcast right now, I would rather have you look at testimonials, reviews, and other people who that coach has worked with, whether it's for strength and conditioning, whether it's for throwing, whether it's for hitting. Look at those rather than looking at that individual person's background. Because if that person has gotten other people just like you to the goals that that you want, right? They've gotten somebody in your situation and taken them to where you want to go to. That's somebody who you can trust regardless of if they played at a high level or did the thing at a high level themselves, okay? And then back to buy-in. As far as coaching works here, one of the things that I absolutely love to do the most, and I highly recommend coaches to do this, is train with the athletes, okay? So I'm not sure if you know the story or not. I'm going to touch on it just briefly. I've talked a lot about this story in other podcasts, but the way that this company first started is it was all free training because I was just testing. Okay, and I didn't know it was actually going to become a company. I was just trying to figure stuff out for myself. And so selfishly, I offered free training to anybody that was willing to take it, but I really only accepted people who were similar to me, so similar in age, body type, where their goals were headed. And what that helped me do is test several different methods, philosophies with strength conditioning, throwing, hitting development, so on and so forth. And it allowed me to eventually, I got a couple hundred guys for free training underneath me, sending me their data every month, letting me know whether they were remote or in person with me, actually training side by side with me, how they were doing. And so I could monitor them if we were in person, I could monitor them if they were remote, and everything was like on Excel spreadsheets. So it was really tough back then. But that allowed me to narrow stuff down on what really worked or not. Okay, and then eventually it just kind of became a business because I stopped playing. My passion there started changing over to coaching. I started enjoying getting results for other guys a little bit more than playing. Also, I wasn't making any money in indie ball. My wife was pregnant, so it was an easy switch for me, right? But at the same time, like I really loved this stuff. And then eventually I was like, hey, you know, it'd be nice if I could like afford dinner. So if you want to pay me, pay me. And people started paying me, and it became a thing. But it started out with me training side by side with the guys. That is where I got tremendous amounts of buy-in, even though I was a no-name nobody who necessarily didn't deserve it. But they trained with me. So they knew that I was a stronger human than them. They knew that I could do the things that they wanted me to do. I did velocity training side by side with the guys. I'm talking pull downs, everything. I did the throwing development, I did the hitting development, and of course I trained side by side in the weight room. Eventually it got to the point though, and I do kind of regret how this happened, but the company just started growing. People, you know, the referrals started going crazy. More people started coming in to train. And obviously I can't like withstand that demand on my own body, being in the gym, you know, 8 to 10 hours a day and training every hour. That's just not how it works. So we started having morning crews where I would do everything side by side with them. But as time went on, everybody that would come in the afternoon and the evening knew that I did those workouts earlier in that day. They knew that I was doing this thing. So they immediately knew that I knew how to do all this stuff. So my coaching was drastically better because I was actually implementing it for myself, and I could help them walk them through the exercises better. I learned how to coach by training with the athletes. Okay, I learned how to put on a performance with the athletes, which is what I believe coaching really is a performance. You're trying to, not just motivate the individual, but show them how to do the things and be there side by side with them. And the buy-in gets crazy when they see that not only can you do it, but you can do it 10 times better than them, cleaner than them, more efficient than them, you're stronger than them, you're more explosive than them. Immediately, man, the buy-in's crazy. And so as the company grew, though, I stopped training as much with the groups. You know, my time was thin. I'm building a business. I'm hiring employees. I have a lot of other stuff outside of just training that I had to worry about. And buy-in was a little bit less. I started wondering why guys weren't training as hard. I'd come in for the day and I'd start to see guys on their phone a little bit more in the weight room. And I was like, this is never how it used to be. Back in the day, it was either you keep up or you get kicked out. And so now whenever I have an opportunity to, I train with the guys. And I just got done training upper body. You guys should be able to see that workout, by the way, on YouTube here soon. But I just got done training with the guys. And, you know, me and the team were talking about it, and we're like, man, those workouts are 10 times better when there's a coach involved on the floor training side by side with them, because everybody on the floor is motivated. They're also noticing the coach do it, and they all immediately think like, if he can do it, I'm going to be able to do this. And the buy-in just gets astronomically better. And although these athletes, in my opinion, are already bought into the system, they already believe in it, it gives them that next level of belief, knowing that that guy can do what he's actually showing me how to do, which is really important. Every hitting group, I usually swing the bat. Now, I might not hit off flips or the machine, but I demo everything for all the guys, okay? And every once in a while, I do get in there, I put my gloves on, and I hit side by side with them. And I noticed that when I started doing that, especially with the pro guys, they were like, he can still hit, like he can still swing. And that's important because most of the guys in the league right now are getting coached from behind a laptop with somebody who never even did the thing. Or if they did do the thing, they're like, hey, just do what I did, knob down. They're like, that doesn't help me that much. Or they're behind a laptop saying, hit it harder, rotate faster. And they're like, show me, like put your money where your mouth is and show me that this is the way, right? And so anyways, I thought that topic was really important for coaches to learn, because for me, and not just from like an environment perspective on how much better I think the athletes get just from training side by side with their coaches, seeing that they can do the thing, but from a business perspective, your environment and your relationships with the athletes mean everything. That's how you retain them. So from a retention perspective, retention is where you're going to make your money. It's when the guys buy in for a long period of time, they can actually get the delayed training effect to happen. They can actually get really good results. That's where you change lives. That's where you make more money. That's where the referrals happen. And so I encourage you, like no matter how swamped your schedule is, no matter what it is that you're doing, Get somebody involved in that training process. Have somebody there on the floor. It doesn't have to happen every group, just once in a while. Get more involved. I'll tell you a story real quick and then I'll close. One of the professional athletes I started working with, I think it was 2 years ago, he came in from a pretty well-known facility in the area, and I'll just say the name, Jordan Brewer with the Astros. He's one of my guys. He comes here every offseason. He's awesome to work out with. He's like a training buddy for me. Like, me and him can just get after it together in the weight room and lock shit down, and we have a great time. But when he came in the first day, he was like, I knew this place was for me. It's a little grimy. People were throwing weights around, smelling chalk flying. You know what I'm saying? Like, the environment was what he wanted. But then he was like, the moment that you actually like demonstrated the deadlift and like showed me how to deadlift, and then I saw you deadlift and you were pulling all this weight, he was like, I knew right then, like, I needed this because I was stronger than him. Okay. And so that is and yeah, Jordan, I said I'm stronger than you. He's got me on the bench press, but this stuff I got. And so that buy-in though, that was, I knew in that moment, I was like, this is important. It just reassured me, like, this is drastically important. And he mentioned the place that he was at before. He was like, dude, I got in there and everybody was doing all this yoga stuff and they had me do this stuff. And it looked like the guy that was training me never even lifted a weight before. So like, immediately in his mind, he's like, why would I listen to you? That is huge. If you're a strength coach and you yourself are not strong, that means that you have not put in the time, discipline, and effort it takes to actually know these damn weights, lift these weights, go through training effects, and actually get an adaptation to happen. Like, you don't know what it takes. You've never pushed yourself to that line to figure it out. Okay? If you want more buy-in from your athletes, if you're like, man, I'm stuck, like, I can't get referrals, my social media is not popping, this, that, and the other. Well, if you're weak, you're scrawny, you're small, you're probably not going to be a good strength coach anyway. So how about you get strong first and then show it? And then other people will be like, hey, how'd you do that? Let me get some, right? And then now you start actually building a following of people who can trust you. That's where the trust is at, man. It's in actually demonstrating that not only are you knowledgeable and that you've gone through all the literature and that you have the science behind your name, right? It's not just the certifications. I could care less about that. Even when I'm hiring employees, I don't care about that. I'd rather hire the guy that did powerlifting competition and actually learned how to get his ass strong rather than the guy that, you know, has a master's, all this, these certs over here, but he doesn't even know how to lift well. It's like, man, who do I want on the floor working with my guys to get the buy-in from? Obviously, the extremely strong human being, and that goes for everything, right? So anyways, if you're a coach, you're listening to this podcast, please do me a favor. If this helped you, go ahead, like it, share it, and subscribe below. Thanks.